Well, good morning. Thank you so much for being here today, and welcome to Virginia's 71st House District. I'm so honored to represent the greater Williamsburg area. I'm Delegate Amanda Batten, and I'm excited to see everyone here today. And you know, for a number of years, this is an issue, human trafficking, that has been at the forefront of minds here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But for a lot of us in the Williamsburg area, we can look back more than 10 years ago, before this was a topic of conversation across the Commonwealth, to incidents that happened here in the greater Williamsburg area. Not an area that you associate at all with human trafficking, but indeed we did have a problem here. And so about 10 or 12 years ago, I actually became involved with a local organization, Letitia's House, that serves victims of human trafficking. And so I'm glad that you're all here in Williamsburg today. I think that the location is very significant because, as I said, this is a topic that we have been discussing for many years here in Williamsburg. So thank you for your attention to this matter. Thank you for caring about this issue. And thank you for being here today. I also want to recognize a number of people who are joining us here. We have with us the Secretary of Health and Human Resources, Janet Kelly. We have the Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security, Marcus Anderson. We have some of my colleagues in the legislature. We have Senator Danny Diggs. We have Senator Emily Jordan. We have Delegate Ann Farrell-Tata. We have Delegate Shelley Simons. We have Delegate Chad Green. We also have with us some of our law enforcement professionals. We have Chief Sean Dunn from Williamsburg. We have also Mayor Doug Pons from the City of Williamsburg. We have Mike Lemonet, the former chair of the Human Trafficking Commission. We have Colin Stolley, the Commonwealth's attorney from Virginia Beach. We have Mackenzie Babichenko, Commonwealth's attorney for Hanover County. And we have Sheriff David Hardin here from the Williamsburg-James City County Sheriff's Department. He is our sheriff. It's my honor today also to introduce Tanya Gould. So I met Tanya several years ago. She was actually running for office here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Not something I recommend for anyone. It does not make for a great summer, but I had the privilege of meeting her at that time. And since then, you know, she has gone on to really be an advocate for raising awareness of human trafficking, and she has her own story to tell. So Tanya herself was a victim of human trafficking here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, something none of us want to think about. But she's not a victim. She's not just a survivor. She's a thriver. She went on to get her college degree, and as I was looking at her bio today, she serves on a number of boards and commissions. And I said to her, I was like, hey, I'm going to introduce you today. What would you like me to highlight in my remarks? And she's like, I get stuff done. So with that, I would like to introduce the woman who gets stuff done, Tanya Gould.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here and to see so many friends that's involved in this issue. I don't know if I drug you here and now you're in the issue because of that, or but definitely it's because of your passion. So I am so deeply honored to be here, and I'm going to read from notes because you all know that I can talk for 2 minutes or 2 weeks when I'm nonstop. So, so this moment here is definitely a full circle for me. I remember very clearly our own Governor Youngkin, prior to his win, made trafficking his very first community discussion. At that time, I was running my own election as a Virginia House of Delegates, and as you can imagine, for me, human trafficking was a top priority, although lower taxes are important, right? Things that concern our purses. But for me, it was about safer schools, safer communities, and that meant addressing the issue of human trafficking. Candidate for governor at the time made a promise to prioritize this issue. Thank you. So moving forward, I had my very first campaign fundraiser and asked now our Attorney General to speak alongside of the former human trafficking ambassador to the United States, John Richmond. I tell you this because I'm the type of person that will do whatever I have to do to get things done. What I didn't know was that some things that are important to me are important to others, and it's okay to ask for help. I am proud as a domestic survivor, of domestic sex trafficking, to have the support from our state leadership making human trafficking issues our issue and committed to finding solutions together. And that's why Virginia is different today. Our offices co-labored on this effort, and now Virginia is coordinated in our human trafficking efforts. We found gaps, We created structure where we could, we had meaningful conversations, and most importantly, we listened to survivors. We worked with our partners with compassion, we provided research, all in a very real effort to make our communities and our schools safer. Despite many sorrows, I have also had many joys, and today I get to express one of those joys: promises made, promises kept. This administration found an unlikely person who thought she would never amount to anything and made a commitment to make a difference on this issue. Human trafficking exists today because of demand, so we're not finished. We just wanted to let you know what it looks like when everyone works together. And so now I want to introduce to you my boss, who I have to tell you this. So when I first started, the Attorney General said to me, "Tanya, I just want to have a summit every year, but I trust that you know what you're doing, and it probably doesn't help that I go around telling people that my Attorney General lets me do whatever I want to do." And that's why I love him. I'm so thankful for the trust that our Attorney General of Virginia, he put me to lead this issue from our office. And although I give him talking points, he never says them because he actually comes from his heart on the issue. And so so you may find me giggling in the background because he's reading, he's not doing any of those topics, but he's saying things that are really important to him. And so I am so proud of him and proud to introduce to you my and our Attorney General, my boss, General Meares.
Well, you can tell from her leadership, her presence, that I don't have to tell her what to do. Tanya, this has been such a personal issue for her. She's been such a fantastic teammate. And everybody up here on stage in the audience, you all are our teammates as well, as we have fought the scourge of what is the world's second largest criminal enterprise. Obviously, the first is narcotics. Human trafficking is a $150 billion criminal enterprise, but I'd have to say it's probably the most evil. If you think about what human trafficking really is, it is looking at somebody who is made in the image of their creator with all their beauty and dignity, and it looks at them as nothing more than a commodity, as something to literally be bought and sold. There's nothing more evil than saying, you have no dignity, I'm simply going to view you as something to exploit and to make money off of, either through your labor or through sex. It is truly an evil, multi-generational crime, because when you talk to those that have gone through and survivors, oftentimes it will impact them as well, and their children as well. And so we've decided to lock arms here in the Commonwealth to tackle and to highlight the scourge of human trafficking and work to eradicate it. And so it has been an incredible partnership we've had in the Attorney General's office, incredible partnership with this governor, incredible partnership with our law enforcement heroes as well. It's not lost to me that we are doing this in Williamsburg, which 2 years ago, one of the largest, if not the largest, labor trafficking ring ever discovered in Virginia was found in Williamsburg. That old adage, if you see something, say something, was all because someone saw something and made the right call. And it was a interagency task force of state, local, and federal that busted that ring. But I remember at the press conference that we announced with the U.S. Attorney's Office, the case had to be brought in federal court. Why? Because our labor trafficking laws in Virginia were not brought up to the standard they should be. And this governor rolled up his sleeves and worked on a bipartisan basis with the members of the General Assembly to change our labor trafficking laws in Virginia to make them, in my opinion, one of the toughest in the country. We're proud of what we've done in the Attorney General's office as a people's protector with National Child ID. There are 383 missing children right now in Virginia, and we've given parents so many of the tools that they need, that if that, God forbid, moment happens, their child goes missing, what to do, and to give law enforcement the tools to reunite them with their children. We're proud members of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. We're most importantly proud of our partnership in the business community. We've launched the 100% Business Alliance Against Trafficking. We couldn't do it if there weren't so many individuals in the business community, in the hotel and restaurant industry, our chambers of commerce, that said, yes, we're going to make as part of our employee training a video prepared by our office to train their employees of what to look for human trafficking and also what to do. Because there's few things, as I've noted, more evil than human trafficking. So it has been an honor to be the People's Protector, the Attorney General, locking arms with this governor who has made this a top issue, and this was not something that was just rhetoric. I remember Governor Youngkin talking about this when he was just a candidate, asking Virginians to hire him, that he was going to make it a top priority in his office to combat human trafficking. He made that promise. He has delivered on that promise, but I would tell you, and I know this from myself with my wife, Governor Youngkin would not be able to deliver on these promises if it wasn't for the person by his side, another remarkable Virginian who has served the Commonwealth with both grace and distinction, our fantastic First Lady of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Miss Suzanne Youngkin. Thank you all.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Wonderful to be back in Williamsburg. I usually pinch myself when I get to sit up here with all of these esteemed professionals. You all have always heard me say it. They are all here because of their merit. I stand before you because of marriage. So I'm in a very different category. Thank you for everything you do in the areas of health, law, safety, community activism, public service, etc. We're so grateful to all of you and to this amazing community of Williamsburg. We're here talking about something that impacts not just Virginians, not just Americans, but the global humanity, something that impacts every single person that walks on earth. Because if we aren't advocating for the least of these, then we aren't really doing what we're called to do. This is a problem that does not live in the margins. It's very real. It's very tangible. I learned this firsthand. Tanya mentioned that one of the very first activities that Glenn did as a candidate was a forum on trafficking here in the Commonwealth, where we heard from experts in law enforcement, education, victims advocates, nonprofits, etc. And at that event, I heard the story of a mother whose young daughter had been recruited at a movie theater in Northern Virginia, and who had had members of the gang that recruited her and exploited her actually visit their home, torment her through the windows of her home, threaten to harm her family. And at the end of the event, I went up and talked to this brave mother, and I said to her, if you don't mind me asking, we raised our 4 children in Northern Virginia, and I'm just curious, can you share where you live? And when she told me that she was a resident of the very small, idyllic community of Great Falls, Virginia, and that her family's home was probably less than 1.5 miles from my family's home, I was absolutely shocked and horrified. I was broken. And I realized right then and there something that I knew in my heart of hearts, that not only was this horrible, but it was horribly close to everything that was happening in my nuclear family's lives and in the lives of the people that we are all called to protect. And so to that mother and to so many who've experienced similar things, I want to say that we see you, we hear you, we're trying, but it's a very confounding, complicated issue. The United Nations estimates that over 27 million persons on this globe are victimized every single year. There are no specific U.S. statistics, but what we do know is that every single state, every single territory, every Indian population, even the District of Columbia, is touched radically by labor, trafficking, and sex trafficking. We also know that disproportionately men and boys suffer from forced labor. Some 67% are men and boys, 33% women and girls. In sex trafficking, we know it's the inverse, and radically so. 22% of victims are men and boys, 78% of victims are women and girls. Something that is particularly poignant to me as I listen to the needs and the concerns of women and girls across the Commonwealth, and I hear it over and over again. We know that our nonprofits are on the front lines. To those who are here with us today from New Creation, VA, and to organizations like Youth for Tomorrow, all of which are focused on lifting up the most vulnerable Virginians and scaffolding them with care, and are recipients of the Governor's and My Spirit of Virginia Awards. We laud and we thank you. To those to whom the Governor has contributed portions of his gubernatorial salary that operate in this space, organizations like Operation Lightshine, which is an organization that's using cutting-edge technology and law enforcement to collaborate with our Virginia State Police on first-of-its-kind initiatives to root out and combat trafficking. I want to thank you to nonprofits like Roanoke Straight Street, which is also a recipient of the gubernatorial salary, which has the Lampstand, an amazing mission that protects and rehabilitates juvenile victims of trafficking. I want to thank you to the network, Reset 180, Letitia's House, and so many others in the Commonwealth, which are working tirelessly to make our communities safer and brighter. We say thank you. You are the hands and feet of God, and we could not do this work without you. And to awareness campaigns like Project iGuardian and the Blue campaign and others that you're going to hear more about from your governor, we want to thank you. We have to make people aware of where this is happening, why it is happening, and what they must do, not can do, but must do to protect Virginians, their neighbors, their employees, their fellow parishioners, their schools, their nonprofit organizations, and their neighborhoods. We want to thank you. Thank you for the hard work you're doing. This year's theme is Leave No Child Behind in the Fight Against Human Trafficking. And in Psalm 82:3, we hear, defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and oppressed. So today, we reconfirm ourselves, everyone in this room, everyone who's listening online or in a news report, we recommit as citizens of the Commonwealth of Virginia to protect the poor and oppressed, and to do every single thing that we can to make sure that those that are caught in a cycle of exploitation or trafficking understand what is available to them to break that cycle and to rehabilitate them, and what we're each doing to make sure that this cause stays at the forefront of everybody's awareness so that we can make change and continue to do good. Please welcome the 74th Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia and my husband, Glenn Youngkin. God bless you.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Suzanne, thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your passion and your commitment. And thank you for shining a bright light in a dark place. Shining a bright light that doesn't just emanate from us, emanates from the Lord, but on top of that is amplified by the amazing efforts by so many people here. Because that is what this is all about. Yes, here we are back in Williamsburg. Here we are talking about human trafficking. We're talking about a topic that really does stir the soul in disgust. A topic that awakens us to evil and humanity, and a topic that we have been united against since the beginning of our administration. And so as we come together today, we again have an opportunity to make that statement, to make a statement that people are not property. And it's that clear. Formed in the image of an almighty creator, people are not property. We also have a moment to celebrate some success, celebrate progress. But I must say, I have said from the very first time we came together and not only discussed the scourge of human trafficking, of labor trafficking, of sex trafficking, but what we could do to combat it. We didn't set our sights on percentage reductions. We set our sights on eradicating human trafficking, modern day slavery. And that continues to be our call. So we again today are called. We're called to double down on our ability to prosecute this vile crime. We're called to double down on our ability to support victims, and we're called to double down again on our commitment of eradicating this modern day slavery. And we do all of this not as individuals, not as a single bill, not as a program, not as a single nonprofit, not as a single law enforcement hero, but we do this together. Because when we do this together, we can make monumental progress. Monumental progress in supporting survivors, monumental progress in training the vast Virginia citizenry of understanding what this looks like and how do we identify it. And finally, monumental progress in enforcement. Candidly, of arresting customers and arresting bad guys and getting them off the street so that they cannot victimize another Virginian. These pillars of support, these pillars of training, these pillars of prosecution are in place to confront this evil. A basic evil that presents itself in very, very, very bad people. Bad people taking advantage, victimizing the innocent. I'm reminded on how complex this issue is because no complex issue can be solved without a complex solution. And that's what today is all about. Recognizing that it takes a holistic approach from all of us, a holistic approach that brings together so many passionate, committed organizations and individuals. I definitely want to start with our Attorney General, Jason Miyares. General Miyares has been a committed, passionate partner in this endeavor since before we were elected together. He sees the evil, but also the tragedy. And from the very beginning, he established capabilities within the Attorney General's office to partner with us on finding the legal pathways, prosecuting, and setting up infrastructure, not just in law enforcement, but in business and with partnerships. General Miyares, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You've had a chance to hear from Tanya. And if you ever wanted to be inspired by what a victim refuses to be, which is a victim forever, spend time with Tanya. I always tell her, thank you for being brave. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for standing in front of groups of people and sharing some of the most personal moments of brokenness. Tanya, thank you. Thank you for inspiring us. Thank you for leading us. Thank you. On day one, I issued an executive order to create a task force, a human trafficking commission, to guide us in our pursuits. And I want to thank Mike Lamonia, who could have been doing anything else. And when I asked, he said, send me. Mike, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for helping us combat human trafficking. Our General Assembly members understand that this is not an issue for Democrats or Republicans. This is an issue for Virginians. This is an issue for humanity. And so thank you for treating it like that. Thank you, Delegate Batten. Thank you for leading. Delegate Tata, Delegate Cordoza, Delegate Simons, Delegate Green, Senator Jordan, Senator Diggs, thank you. Because that's what it takes in order to combat something that seems almost impossible to defeat. We have seen our Commonwealth's attorneys step up and prosecute. We have to put the bad people behind bars. And I want to thank Colin Stolley from Virginia Beach, and I want to thank Mackenzie Babichenko from Hanover for standing strong at a moment where oftentimes it's another file on a desk and you have grabbed it and prosecuted. I want to thank our law enforcement heroes like Chief Dunn. I want to thank our Sheriff Dave Harden, who's here, and everyone else from the Virginia State Police and other law enforcement organizations that have stopped treating this like something on the back burner and have put it on the front burner, because that's what it takes. Our nonprofit community has been extraordinary, and we could spend the rest of this time together illuminating each one. My friend Sabrina, who runs New Creations, was struck at a day in church that she needed to change her focus and support these victims and help them find their pathway back to their God-given destiny. Thank you, New Creations. The Blue Campaign, which you'll hear a little bit more about if you stay for the training this afternoon, is working as Homeland Security's National Public Awareness Campaign. But the Blue Campaign does so much more. It prepares people to see. And today there will be a training that's being done in collaboration with the Restaurant, Lodging, and Travel Association. They're on the front line. They see so much. And to make sure that their employees are ready to not just see, but to say, is critically important. And so thank you for all of you for dedicating time to be trained. You see, eradicating this evil requires all of us, because trafficking can happen anywhere. It happens in businesses, it happens in schools, it happens in apartment buildings, it happens even within families. As Suzanne shared, over 27 million people around the world are being trafficked. 27 million. Organized crime networks drive 74% of trafficking cases. They operate across borders. They operate with incredible sophistication. It's the gangs that we talk about all the time. Suzanne's story about our neighbor whose daughter was trafficked, she was recruited by an MS-13 member in our neighborhood. Can anyone guess why I'm so focused on making sure that the bad guys are arrested and taken off the streets? Because they live among us. They are violent. They are criminals. They must be arrested. Suzanne and I were introduced to the vile world of human trafficking long before we started this journey of public service. And if I haven't said it recently, thank you for hiring us. But we were shocked to learn that Tyson's Corner, right there at the center of Northern Virginia, is the epicenter of human trafficking in the Commonwealth of Virginia, running through massage parlors and illicit invitations in places where people are in hotels. And it exists right there. And that's why this first issue for me as a governor became so important. It was affecting everyone, and it was right there in front of us. And the reality of human trafficking, therefore, requires us to take this comprehensive approach. Where sin abounds, grace abounds all the more. Thank you, Apostle Paul. Because we have lots of grace, and we need to confront lots of sin. Supporting survivors is our first step. And when I issued Executive Order 7, establishing the Commission on Human Trafficking Prevention and Survivor Support, this is where we start. We start by empowering survivors, by reaffirming that they are made in the image of God and they have control over their lives, not someone else. But it doesn't fix itself without support, and it doesn't find its way back to the human dignity that the Attorney General discussed without our help. And that's why I was so moved right out of the box back in 2022 where Delegate Batten brought a bill that was passed, and I had the privilege of signing a bill that said if you were a victim of human trafficking anywhere, come to Virginia, and there's a pathway for education for you to one of our great universities. A pathway where you are viewed as an in-state resident, even if you come from out of state. You see, it's this notion of reaffirming the dignity of someone who has been stripped of it completely that is the beginnings of recovery. Supporting survivors is now a frequent component of bipartisan legislation that is passed in every General Assembly session. And I love the fact that it is not partisan. That in fact, folks that sit on opposite sides of an aisle sit in the same room and say, how do we work together in order to support survivors? I signed a bill that enables victims, survivors of human trafficking, to petition a judge to clean their record. To say that was not mine, that was someone else's doing. And therefore, I want to start again. And Suzanne talked about Operation Lightshine. And this is a huge effort to build a case and infrastructure around victims. And that translates into my next step, which is we have to give law enforcement more tools. We have to prosecute more. And that's exactly what Operation Lightshine is all about. How do we work with victims advocates? How do we work together in order to bring the full weight of law enforcement's investigation capabilities and our state's prosecution capabilities in order to put these evil people behind bars? This partnership that exists between advocates and the law enforcement community is critical. And then that leads me finally to training. Training today, like we'll have here in this room with members of our restaurant, lodging, and travel industry, is so important. We have seen the training of over 10,000 folks in higher education, students, professors, administrators, trained across 13 colleges and universities. We've seen 8,500 employees of hotels because they're on the front line. And again, we will see more trained today. And that's why today's bill signing is important, because today's bill extends that training to everyone who works in the world of our ABC universe. And again, it enables people to understand what to look for, so if they see something, they can say something. All of this has brought together a flurry of action over the last 3.5 years of our administration. From an executive order to an incredibly productive commission. From a commission that laid out a blueprint in partnership with the Attorney General's office to enable us to go after these offenders, to enable us to train, and to enable us to support. We added to it in 2023 the very first dedicated unit in Virginia State Police. 10 brave, dedicated law enforcement professionals who have now spent their segment of this career combating human trafficking. We launched Operation Safe Passages to work through police at all of our rest stops. And of course, we've had one of the most successful targeted human trafficking efforts with Operation Shattered Silence. You see, it is these efforts that translate into rescues and arrests. But one of the things that has shown to be one of the most effective steps was when the Virginia State Police Human Trafficking Hotline was established. You text VSP the following to 847-411. You text them and say, I have a tip. And what's happened since this has been set up is our ability to identify potential victims and, of course, to begin to investigate perpetrators has gone through the roof. In 2023, there were 162 tips about human trafficking. In 2024, there were 354 tips on human trafficking. That was the year that the dedicated human trafficking unit was put in place. And so far this year, halfway through the year, there's 559 tips that have been registered that are at the forefront of our ability to rescue and to arrest. This is not a sign of a crisis that is going in the wrong direction. It is a sign that our training and that our infrastructure are working to rescue victims. I mentioned Operation Shattered Silence, and I think this is a really important collaboration because it brings together state, local, and federal resources. And just in a very short period of time, where we ran over 220 hours of dedicated law enforcement activity, we had 27 misdemeanor arrests, 21 felony arrests, 10 sex buyers arrested, 7 traffickers arrested, and 24 victims rescued. This is what we do when we work together. We have seen the results. And all that means is it's time to double down on our efforts. Human trafficking is one of the most vile crimes that one human can commit against another. A crime that says, I don't respect you, I don't see you, I don't hear you, I just exploit you. And that's what this effort has been all about. It is not finished by far. Our goal is not tips or 220 hours of work. It is to eradicate it. And that's why when I look around this room and I see so many heroes, quiet heroes, heroes who wear a badge, heroes who prosecute, heroes who support, heroes who rescue, heroes who pass legislation, heroes who communicate and train, this is what it takes. And that's why I am optimistic that we can eventually eradicate human trafficking. And therefore, on our journey together, I ask for God's blessing on each and every one of you. May He continue to strengthen you. May He wrap you in His hedge of protection. May He give us the ability to rescue every single victim. And may He give us the compassion to put every victim on a pathway to fulfilling His plan for that extraordinary life. And now, my friends, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work to sign an important piece of legislation that gives us another tool in our toolkit to train and to educate so that we can continue this mission. God bless you, and thank you.